Welcome to the Totally Awesome Fishing Show yet again. We are on a big time fishing trip trying to catch you some ling, which they live on the seabed, sneaking along and snaking along on the ocean floor, and they love to live around wrecks, like shipwrecks, normally stuff that's been sunk between the First and Second World War, big metal hulled ships that have been sunk by torpedoes. Unfortunately, that's the way of the world, but they are there, they are rusting hulks, and the ling love to live around them. Big shoals of them too. Now they're sort of something like a cod with big teeth and a lot longer. That's how you can describe it basically. But anyway, hopefully going to try and show you a couple of tips on how to try and catch ling. Now years ago they were a really popular fish over the wrecks. They caught something like 1,000 to 2,000 pound catches or bigger, rod and line over these wrecks. But obviously, if you can imagine a wreck out in the seabed, it's a little oasis. Everywhere's flat and is trawled to oblivion. Everything's sucked up by the trawlers except this big lump of metal on the seabed. And obviously all the fish congregate it, small fish, bait fish, sprats, whatever, mackerel, it's all round there, and then the coalfish, all the other predators, the ling and the conger on the bottom. So that's where we're going to go, and the guy to take us out there, we're here with Mark Gannon, who runs the Lady Patricia and the Lady Louise, two charter boats that run pretty well full time here out of Courtmacsherry in Southern Ireland in County Cork. A most exquisite place to fish, all sorts of fishing here for you. We're going to show you how to rig up, and this is the sort of tackle that I would say you can use for catching ling. Okay, now I'm going to be using the most basic tackle. Most people will have this that do sea fishing from a boat in the UK, British Isles, wherever. This one is a Coniflex. Wow, it's a sort of 20-pound test, but most people would call it a 30-pound test blank. No roller rings, just ordinary guides. It's a stand-up stick, so it's got a very long foregrip here to get a lot of power. Little crosshair gimbal at the bottom, as you can see. It was square, it's now worn away. And a TLD lever drag reel, which is just basically goes up to the stop, and then it's like a brake the fish can pull off line, and you can even go past that like stamping on a brake, and it locks up solid. Okay, all you want is this, and then all I do is dead simple ling fishing, very simple. I tie off a blood loop, which I'll show you like this, and I do two of these. I do a lead on the bottom, and then I do two hooks standing off it. Okay, this is just a straight two hook paternoster. Pretty easy to fish because the lead's going to sink on the bottom. You're going to be fishing in something like 200 feet of water. Big lead, pound lead at least. But all I do is I thread my line up, and I'm using 50-pound nylon here, straight through, and I tie a loop in. Basically it's so simple it's unbelievable. I tie just a double overhand loop in the bottom like that, okay? That's in the bottom of my line, 50-pound line from the reel, come out of the rod tip, down to the end, just a single surgeon's loop. It's in our section, in the Totally Awesome Fishing Show, how to tie knots, either part 1 or part 2. Surgeon's loop there, but leave a big enough loop that you can slot the lead through there. That way you don't need a clip swivel, because you're going to lose stuff on a wreck, you're going to lose all your terminal gear sooner or later. This way I can change leads easily by pushing the loop through the metal loop on the lead, pulling it out, tucking the lead back through there, pulling it in, and just sits very snugly, bosh. Now to put the hooks on, a single blood loop like this here, maybe 15 inches away from the lead, and another one, so it's about 3 feet or a metre off the seabed, so the lead's going to hit the bottom like this, and these hooks are going to be standing proud on very short loops, as you can see. Let me show you there. It's a blood loop, again it's in our knot section, how to tie fishing knots, and I leave it doubled. Some people snip it. Now that's 50-pound mono, it's still off my reel, I haven't put any trace on here or anything, but that is now 100 pounds. Now by leaving it as a loop, I can change hooks without cutting all that out. I push the loop through the eye of the hook, okay, open up the loop, bend the hook around slowly, put it over the shank, so, and it pulls down snugly. Now that is now 100 pounds, but the benefit is, let's say I'm using a 6.0, I can actually push that loop up, slide it back down the shank, take it off the hook, take it off, and put a bigger hook on or a smaller hook on. So that's pretty neat, I feel. So there we go, let's put that one on there. Now you can also put a couple of turns in it, look, 1, 2, and that locks it a bit tighter. Just there, if you can see that, that's tight. And I do the same here. So I've got the local tractors bringing all my bait for tomorrow's ling fishing. A short blood loop this time, a little bit shorter, It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be a long flowing trace. If it's long and flowing, it's going to spin up when you drop down. This one is for sort of more like speed dropping down. I'm going to go through twice. This is a 6.0 Eagle Claw O'Shaughnessy hook. Now if you watch that slide down, beautiful. Now look how that hook just swivels around. I can put the bait on there, it doesn't tangle. I drop those two down, and on top of that, if you wanted, you could put like a coloured muppet, a little plastic skirt for a bit of colour. But that's all you need basically for ling fishing. I'll show you how to bait up in a minute. Lead at the bottom, 2 single hooks coming off, standing proud like that. But short, little short ones, say 4 or 5 inches, so they don't spin around the trace and tangle too much. However, I do have a secret weapon for wreck fishing. It's called the cling rig. Right, the cling rig is probably easy to watch on a piece of paper, but it basically is covering, wait for this, cling rig, you'll love it, totally awesome. Covering conger and ling, because they both live in the same ground, but the conger live on the bottom, and you hook myself then, and the ling live over the top. So I've made this big, huge, gargantuan boom from a full-size coat hanger. As you can see, I tie my reel line to the top, I tie another length of line to the bottom, which I'll show you in a minute. There is the actual boom, which is all of 15 inches long. I've got a barrel swivel in it, about a 2.0 there. There I've got my loop of leader, which is no more than 18 inches long, and a nice big hook. So that basically is going to hang and keep this from triangling around here when you drop it down. But at the end of this other piece of line I've got, just here, is the standard, you can see that, standard running ledger with a Clements boom, about a pound, pound and a half weight, and a short running ledger trace there. That can slide up and down there. You just see it moving. There, I guess you can see it like that there. Slides up and down, comes up against a swivel, and a very, very short trace there, say 2 feet. So these two won't tangle, the two here, top one won't tangle with the bottom. Now this is going to be on the seabed, with the lead holding it down, so this one should catch conger, and the ling, which swims slightly off the seabed, let's say along the bottom to a metre, they will rise up, because the conger really doesn't rise up, but the ling will rise up. You've got this one sitting up, and you can always tie this hook, look here, you can tie it really short, you can just tie it 4 or 5 inches on the boom, so the ling have got to come up and take it. So 2 rigs there, and this is really the 2 only baits that I use to go on these hooks. Okay, the most popular bait for ling is without a doubt a nice fresh mackerel. Now for the first rig I showed you, which is the 2 hook paternoster on these hooks here, I would fish 2 fillets. So for the fillets, you just pull that pectoral fin up here, take a slice off. I like to slice away from my fingers. Some people slide towards their fingers like that, and I always think that's a bit of a risk. Sharp knife, don't tear at it, just basically just slide it off like this. A fillet on each. Do not throw the head away, because that will make a conger bait. Now, a bit gunky there. Hope I'm not the next person to sit on this. Now, if you've got old hooks, do employ the services of a stone, sharpening stone, and just rub this point up. Get it nice and sharp using a sharpening stone. It's no hardship. A lot of stones are rough on one side, and then you can have a finishing touch to it on the other side, and just get that nice and needle sharp. Out of the box, the chemically sharpened ones, you can't sharpen anymore, they are perfectly sharp. But if you've got some old hooks, don't be worried about losing them, because you are going to wreck fishing, you are going 100% lose gear. Now, all I do, you can just whack, this is the normal way of doing it. I go in the thin end first, like this. I go in the thin end, pop it out. Now, I'm just going to do this the wrong way, and like this. Now, eventually, that looks perfect, that's absolutely exquisite for ling. So it doesn't work like that. When you're jigging it up and down and moving it, bumping it around, this pops off and slides down, and it all turns into one messy gob of bait. Now certainly a ling or a conger will bite that, no question of that, but you're going to get more chances of other fish, coalfish, pollock and cod, if you can actually keep that hook point proud like this and keep that bait straight. Now the only way to do that, a bit time consuming, let's take all of 1 minute, get yourself an elasticated thread and bind around just above the eye that top piece, the narrow piece of bait, onto the shank of the hook and up onto the line, so you're making a much more tapered bait of it. And you can also, a lot of boat anglers don't use elasticated thread, and they should do it. Beach anglers, shore fishermen do. Now what happens with this, you can stretch it and it pinches in there, just tug it, it's pinched in, around again, pinched in, snap, it's off. Now if I show you that now, that shiny bit's still showing. They got meat there they can smell, but look, it's not pulling. I can tug on that. I'm tugging on this as though a fish was tugging on it. The hook is still proud. It's not pulling around the shank. That takes minutes to do. Just minutes, not even that. I'll do it on this other hook for you. Let's put that one out of the way. So look, this is how long it would take me if I was fishing. You just go once in, pop it over, little bend in the bait, once out, hold it straight in your hands like this, elasticated thread, get the end of it properly. It's very cheap to buy, it's about £2. I think they call it Storm Elastic. I'm not sure what they're, probably some other mates out there as well. And just bind that tag end of meat round and around. I've got my lead there, let's get rid of that lead. There we go, that's better. Round and around and around and around. And don't be afraid to run it down the shank. I'm coming down the shank of the hook now. That's it, 1-2 stretches, snap it off, it's done. And there you have perfect ling bait laying nice and flat. Plenty of silver flash here, plenty of meat there, but more important, look guys, that hook is standing proud. Now for the cling rig, a little bit of a variation here. Okay, same principle. There's your mackerel. Take your fillet off of the top hook, which is the one on that boom. So the one on the cling rig, which is for the conger and the ling, I put on the top hook. I might put that dog on the top hook if he doesn't stop barking. Voila, like this. Same principle. If you've got time to do this, it's worth doing. Most of us probably don't, but a little bit of elasticated thread. Just around and around, give it 10 or 20 turns, and then give it one tug. Look, tug it. Done. It bites into the meat, then snaps. So look how flat that lays. But for the conger, that's a bigger hook. That's a mustard, I think a 7/0. Let's put in there for a minute. I would use the same piece of bait, just going underneath the backbone. I'm taking the fillet off at the tail. If you watch this, I just nick the backbone out like this, snip. Leave the backbone, throw that away. Keep the head, because conger love heads. In through the throat latch, out the top of the head. Now you can leave it like that. A lot of people just leave it like that. There's a lot to be bitten off at the back here, and that's going to miss the hook. So I push it through, pop it out, give it a good old rip, twist the hook. Measure about there, put the hook in, pop it out, but there's the most important part guys, you must put a little split in the back there. Just a little split, just to let the shank of the hook go, so it beds in there, and when you pull this tight, now the hook rides proud. So that is on the bottom on the running ledger of the cling rig. The hook's there for conger, that's for your conger, and you've still got the fillet there for the ling. So that one is the conger, that one is the ling, and many times on this rig I've had a ling on the top hook and a conger on the bottom, double whammy. Now we're in a beautiful setting here in Courtmacsherry Bay. I'm in the estuary. Let's hope tomorrow the weather is good and we get out with Mark Gannon on the Lady Louise and get to show you some ling caught on rigs like this. Mark Gannon is the skipper to get you out onto a ling or two. He runs 2 large charter boats from the pier in Courtmacsherry and is out on the ocean almost every day the weather permits. His knowledge of the wrecks and reefs that lie offshore is second to none, and he thinks nothing of travelling to 4 or 5 different wrecks, even in one day, in an effort to find his customers some fish. Mark also runs a tackle shop right on the pier where you can stock up on the right terminal gear, the right hooks, feathers, traces, or even hire a rod. On this day we were headed for the huge wreck of the Lusitania, a casualty of the First World War that was torpedoed off the Seven Heads Peninsula in 1915. And the first job you need to do on any wreck fishing trip is to feather up some fresh mackerel for your hook bait. Ling are highly predatory, and if they live on other fish, then you want to get yourself the right bait. Mackerel are under huge pressure from large commercial net boats, so only take what you need for the day. They are a finite resource, and once they're fished out, it may take years for them to come back. Cooked fresh, the mackerel makes great eating, and they're high protein. All you need to do is lower down about 20 feet and jig the rod up and down to stand a chance of catching some. But do watch out for any loose hooks as you swing them aboard. More people get snagged on mackerel hooks than any other type of terminal gear. And sometimes, if you drop those feathers to the seabed, you can even get a bigger catch of fish, like the pollock, running 4 or 5 pounds. You can see on the echo sounder the shape of the wreck rising off the seabed, and this is home to the Ling. You are right in their backyard. The only drawback with a long drop down to the wreck, yes, is to haul back up with a nice Ling attached. It can be arm-aching. It's an arm-aching tussle bringing them up from the wreck. Remember to lower your rod as you wind the reel, then pull back to put a bend in the rod. When the rod is at the top of that arc, drop down quickly again to get a few more turns on the reel. Then just repeat the procedure. It's a method called pumping, and is definitely the best way to bring up any big fish from deep water. Ling are a prime eating fish, and if there was an average for an Irish ling, I guess it would probably run about 8 to 12 pounds, somewhere around about there. For eating, that meat is white and flaky, and when cooked with a nice sauce, they are great. But the smaller ling of around 5 pounds make the best eating. Now there's a totally awesome eating tip. On a good drift over a wreck as large as the Lusitania, it's not uncommon to see 4 or 5 anglers all hooked into ling at the same time. But out in the deep water of a wreck are other predators that hunt the ling. One of the anglers suddenly had his bait attacked by a big blue shark.
Your drag's too tight. No, don't you let him break your rod. Don't put your finger there.
You burn it. Let him run.
Leave him run, Felix.
What did he take, Sean?
His ling bait on the way up.
He took the ling bait?
It was just Felix, you might get it. It's okay, leave him fight the fish, fight him. You want the belt?
Oh, it's crazy time.
Tell us what happened there.
Okay.
Are we ready, Mark? 6.
He was coming up with his bait.
The shark? You told me it was a shark?
No, he was coming up with his bait and the shark swam. You could see him and he took the bait, turned and ran.
The drag is too tight.
The drag is too tight.
Yeah.
Slip.
Did you see him take the bait?
Yeah,
See him, yeah?
I was going down and
And don't think you can just drag a blue shark to the boat. There are species that are not affected by the pressure changes of depths like the ling are, as they have no swim bladder. Now that means they can fight all the way from the surface, yep, right back down to the wreck.
Shaking his head, he's gonna go.
He's going to take off. There he goes, he's away.
Yeah, but you know what I'll do, lads? I'll put the kettle on, will I?
Yeah, he's away.
You're gonna remember today, Felix.
yeah.
No, don't thumb him, Felix, just let him. He'll turn.
That against, that's what the other hand is.
That's a nice shot.
Oh man, this is a fucking big shark.
And just look at the sleek, majestic lines of this blue shark caught in the lens of the totally awesome underwater camera. They really are nature's perfect killing machine.
There's another jump there. Look, all the stuff he dropped up.
Mark, leave him run.
Sean, you go up with him, so.
Yeah.
Tiring.
Same thing.
Now come on.
One more time.
He's tired now.
Keep the pressure on him. Keep the pressure on him. Keep the pressure on him. Slip it up. Slip it up. There we go.
Finally, those razor sharp teeth slice through the nylon leader.
I knew we'd only have one go at it.
Doesn't matter.
Good, that makes you go anyway.
Yeah, I got some great stuff.
Good man.
Well done, Felix, man.
Hey, 3 cheers. You got fish there as well. When the ling are on the feed, few other species get a chance to take that bait. Their tooth-filled, cavernous mouth can swallow a mackerel whole. The ling of the Lucy just kept coming and coming. Hey, we had all the fish. Where were we going to get all the chips to go with them? Nice ling anyway.
Good ling. Nicely hooked, and that's on the cling rig.
Greatest sea fishing in Europe. This is Ireland. Fantastic scenery, fantastic food, great company and some totally awesome ling fishing. No wonder the TA cameras love going there. Courtmacsherry is the place to be.